I'm so happy to have you guys here. And my name is Lisa Gunshore. I am your host for the Buddhist Biohacker. The Buddhist Biohacker, we are creating conscious content for 1111D. And we also are taking a stand against violence. So we do ask that you use compassion in your words and in your actions, and really practice non-violence in everything that you do. So that's something that we stand for here at Buddhist Biohacker. And welcome. So yesterday we were live with Marlena. So welcome back, Marlena.
Thank you. Excited to be back.
I'm excited to have you back. And yesterday we were live with Marlena, and it was pretty wild. I'm not going to lie. My computer completely drained of battery and shut off. I don't know, we were like 40 minutes in maybe. Yeah. And then my phone completely drained and shut off. And my car wouldn't start. The battery was drained and would not work. So I sat in a parking lot for 2 hours after our podcast waiting for my husband to rescue me and my kids. And it was pretty crazy. And so I think it's pretty funny. And in fact, I wonder if we don't look at that with some cards maybe in a little bit. We'll see what happened. But I really think it was our energy just was like, whoo, and it just drained the batteries like dry.
It's too much.
It was too much. It was so fun. And so I just love Marlena. I'm so glad you're back. And we just really, I felt like we barely got the conversation started. There was so much to talk about. So I thought, let's just do this again and welcome all of you guys. So many great people joining. You can absolutely use your chat box to chat with us. We love it. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk some more about Tarot today. And we'll do another brief introduction of Marlena for those of you who missed yesterday, but you can really deep dive into her work on yesterday's podcast, which was called Reclaiming Your Story. This is Reclaiming Your Story Part 2. But we're going to do some live tarot readings. So if you guys want a tarot reading, all of you guys who are watching right now, you can throw your questions in the chat box and we will do that. I think it'll be super fun. And so let's do two things. Marlena and I were just talking about which decks we use. So I want to talk about that. But Marlena, why don't you just give everybody a quick intro one more time, just so folks know who you are. And then let's get into tarot.
Okay, sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Marlena Leonard. I am a writer and a tarot reader in the Bahamas, and I use the tarot mainly for more like personal development. So I focus in personal myth work. So really helping you work through the guiding myths that you base your life and your choices on, and helping you have more awareness with those, just through journaling, but also through the tarot for these things, sometimes with the shadow work where you're not really sure where to start, using the tarot is kind of like your guiding map to help you find out where to get started.
Awesome.
Hi, Michelle.
Awesome.
Hi, Danny.
Yeah. Hi, guys. We're excited to have you. Sweet. And so we were talking about what decks we use. So I'm a Rider-Waite, I'm just like a Rider-Waite gal. I don't know what else to say. I use the classic Rider-Waite. And I think we talked about this yesterday. I'm super I believe that I was a French gypsy. I'm I have this romantic energy. Hi, Julie. Hi, Suzette. I have this romantic vision of living in my little gypsy caboose in France, reading cards. And so there's something about the imagery. The symbolism of the Rider.
Pamela Coleman Smith.
Yes, it's just like classic. I got to figure out how to hold this in front of my camera on this particular streaming software. There we go. So I just love the classic imagery. And if it gets too much imagery, it's almost too much for my clairvoyance. It makes my third eye explode. So that's where I'm at. But what decks do you use?
So my first deck, this is the deck I got when I was 16. It's the Shadowscapes deck. So this is the Empress card. Ooh, where am I going?
That's so
it's very watercolor and lots of beautiful nature.
So pretty.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my first one that I got at 16. Gorgeous art. I like using this one. I with me and my decks, I feel like certain decks like certain readings. Some people you can use them interchangeably, but I feel like they have preferences. Some things they like my Rider-Waite. I use my Rider-Waite for like year ahead spreads, or if it's something that I want just clear, concise, concrete information on, I just whip this bad boy out and I'm like, all right, what's going on? Just tell me plainly, not, it's kind of like the difference between getting a straight answer from someone and like the oracle in the movie giving you a riddle and being like, you figure it out, honey. Like the Rider Waite will be like, no, this is what I'm trying to say, and I'm gonna say it plainly. So that's what I use these for. And then most recently, I got the Light Seers Tarot.
Ooh, those are cool.
Yeah, just beautiful, beautiful artwork in these.
Oh, that's so pretty.
It is by Chris Ann Donnelly. And yeah, this one I realized when I first got it, it's so funny. How do you cleanse your decks? Do you normally cleanse a deck when you first get it? Because I know you said you had a lot, so obviously.
Yeah. I've had many decks. We were just talking offline. I had like 60 at one point, but I gave them all away to my clients. I let them take them, and so yeah, I actually have a little system. And I want to say, what you said about Rider Waite and what you use them for is so right on the money. Rider Waite is like the reason I use these to read my clients is because it is like the mundane. It's the predictable, concise relationships, money, work, unexpected travel, moving, like basic everyday stuff is Rider Waite. You can use it for the mythological work. You can use it for shadow work. You can use it for archetypes. But when it comes to like, I just want to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Rider Waite, and that is why I use it for sure, because I use other decks to do other things, just like you're saying. And how I cleanse it, so I read, I read about 20 people a week. So I'm pretty busy when it comes to reading, and I don't really need my cards, but I love them, so I use them anyways. But what I do is once a month, and it's so mundane, you guys. It's usually like the first of every month. It's not at all on the moon cycle or anything. It should be, I know, but I actually go through and I put them all in order again. So I actually put them, all the suits, ace to king and all the major arcana, I put them all in order. And I have them all laid out, and I lay out the suits in the order of manifestation. Okay. So hi, Jess. Hi, Suzette. So I lay them out in the order of manifestation. So it's like, it starts with the wands and the cups and then the swords and then the pentacles. So I put it in that order, and then the major arcana, put everything in numerical order, and then I reshuffle all of them. So that's what I do. Yes, I just reset my cards with that so that that's my cleansing. What do you do?
So I mean, normally what I'd always done was like, I normally like having either a candle and, holding them over the flame, the heat, whatever, or I would use incense and just let the smoke blow over, and, or, crystals. It would just depend on what was going on at the time. But I remember I got this Light Seers tarot deck pretty recently, and, I had done the incense thing, and I had done the crystals, and I was like, it's still, sometimes it's just still giving you kind of funny responses. And I'm like, I don't think it's really set in yet. And so, I was kind of shuffling it around, and I was like, okay, what is the problem here? Because like I was saying, it just seems like certain decks have certain preferences. And I was like, you know what? I think this deck wants to be cleansed with music. And so I put on this song. Do you know, it's by Corinne Bailey Rae. It's called Put Your Records On.
No.
And it's like this, it's a really happy, uplifting song. And it's from like 2006, I think. So I was like putting it on, and I was shuffling the cards, and I was like, I wonder if I'm like doing the right thing, if this is working. And so of course, a jumper card decides to pop out, and I always love when that happens. I'm like, okay, what are you shouting at me? What do I need to hear? And it was the Six of Cups. And so my thing was, this song, Put Your Records On, was like my favorite song when I was like 10 years old. And so I was like, this is insane, And I was like, okay, well, definitely that's a right answer. And then after I did that, all of the readings started to get like really clear. So it was just like, this deck has more of a childish energy, I guess, and would rather me be smiling while I'm shuffling it than, having the incense over it and being really serious while I cleansed it. It was like, no, let's just let's play some music and smile and then ask me what you want, you know?
Oh my
And I just
God,
think
I
it's really
love
interesting how decks do that. Let me see if I can find the Six of Cups in this deck is really, really sweet.
Yeah, I want to see it. And it's funny because I totally do you do this? I like say good morning and good night to my cards. Like when I come into my office in the morning, I see my cards and I'm like, oh, good morning. Like they're their own little thing, you know, they're their own little energy. And I think it's cute. Then when I'm done for the day, I always put them back away and I, you know, say good night, tuck them in. So silly.
Like, be good.
Yes, yes. I'm grabbing this other deck. Let's see if I can reach it while I'm on the live. So I have one other tarot deck. Let's see here. Okay. I made it. I did it. So the other tarot deck I have is the Starman Tarot. Ooh, is that the sixth? Oh, that's
so you see it's the little boy.
Yes.
And then grown with the grown dog. And so I'm playing this song while I'm cleansing it that is this favorite song that was my favorite song when I was a little girl. And then this is the card that jumps out.
Oh my God, that's cute. I love it. I love that so much. That's awesome. This is my other deck. I have the Starman Tarot. And
I've seen that. That looks so cool.
Oh my God. So let me tell you.
David Bowie.
Oh, I have the best story. So weird thing. Let's see. I really can't. I'm trying to mirror on this thing. Okay, here we go. So Starman Tarot. So get this. So we were watching, my husband's a musician. So he loves like all things music, right? We both love David Bowie, although controversial maybe at this point in time with everybody's like backgrounds. But we were watching a documentary about David Bowie before he passed away and all of the things he completed in that year. You know, he created a musical and this whole other album, Black Star. So we're watching this and sure enough, I can't help myself, but David Bowie was like in the room with us. I'm a medium and a channel. So it was like, oh, okay, here's David Bowie. So I was telling my husband, I said, David Bowie's like here, like I can feel his energy. And so we had a little chat and I just kind of chatted with him and got some cool information about, you know, what he felt. And he was really sad to leave the planet. And, you know, we just kind of had this little chat. So that like was kind of this random like night thing that we did one night, you know, just talk to David Bowie.
Did David Bowie just pop by to visit?
Yeah. Well, what was really weird is the next week, of course, synchronicity, it's not weird at all. The next week, I had 3 different clients ask me about David Bowie, just randomly in conversation. It was like really weird. And I thought, oh, this is peculiar. Well, then I had a book signing at this old historical building that's a bookstore down in Denver, Colorado. So I was at this book signing and I, you know, spoke about my book and I'm signing the books. And then the guy who had the guy who was in charge of the book signing event at the bookstore, when we got done, he said to me, he goes, oh, what kind of tarot cards do you read? And I said, oh, Rider-Waite, you know, that's what I read. And he goes, did you know that David Bowie has a tarot deck? And I was like, why is he bringing this up? This is so weird. He goes, yeah, we just got it in. It's really cool. And I said, well, that's very peculiar because David Bowie is like up in my space. He goes, did you know? It gets better. He goes, did you know that David Bowie, this was his favorite bookstore. And when he came and performed at Red Rocks in Colorado, he would come to this bookstore and wander around for hours. Yes. So I was like, I need to see this deck right away. I was like, so here's the deck, and it's actually done by the artist who did the artwork for David Bowie. So, and I can show you, I'll open it up.
Yeah, please.
So this deck is special because I really use it for more global predictions, actually, because of the imagery. When you see the imagery, it's insane. Like, look at this imagery.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
This is like, I mean, it's unbelievable. Like this is the 3 of Cups. Look at that.
Wow. Wow.
There's so much inside these cards. It's insane, this artist.
Yeah.
And the book, even his description of the cards is unbelievable too. So I love the Starman Tarot. So I have that too. Those are the only 2 decks I have right now, but I was obsessed with Osho Zen Tarot, and I may be buying that after talking about it yesterday. We have lots of questions. I'm pretty stoked about this. So let's see. So Michelle says, Michelle, is it Trejo? Is that how you say it? I wonder. I don't know. I hope I got that right. She says, my left knee started bothering me a few months ago for unknown reasons. Weird pain, unusual for me. So that's her. I'm going to guess it's her question. And then we have another Michelle who says, I'd love to know when I will meet my twin flame or soulmate. Any insight, any signs, if anything I should do to help from the universe, or for the universe to help me, is appreciated. We have Jackie saying, I always want to know about the men in my life. I wonder if I'll reconnect romantically. I feel like somebody asked something else, but
well, I think it was Suzette who asked about her knee first, and Michelle was responding to Suzette talking about her knee.
Yeah.
It was above
there we
Michelle.
go. This one's for you for sure. This one's for you for sure. Because she asks, she said, having pain in my left knee since April. Left knee represents authority, so resistance to authority, which is why I decided to author my own life. Any insight I would appreciate.
Wow.
I think you should take that one.
Wow.
Your myth work. And then how about Michelle, I'll pull for you about when you'll meet your twin flame or soulmate, which is a whole conversation we had yesterday. So I'm sure you're going to get that lecture, but I'll look for you. So we're going to look for you guys. And if you have more questions, you guys throw them up. Okay, let's see. I got to go back to Michelle's so I can see her name. Okay. For everybody watching, we are boringly shuffling. I feel like, you know, when you watch, have you ever watched golf on TV?
Oh, no. I know my mom is watching this right now, and my granddad was a huge golf fan. And I used to be so, like, he'd put the golf channel on and be like, Papa, why? Like, nothing's happening. Literally, everybody is whispering and nothing's happening. It's the nap channel, Papa. Like, please.
That's awesome. Yeah, my dad's a huge golf guy. And so I was just thinking right now about that, because I was thinking, and Marlena and Lisa are both shuffling their cards for their questions that are on the live chat. Okay. Let me know when you're ready. We're doing answers to your questions, guys. So here we go. Okay.
You want to go first?
You can go first. It's Suzette, and then I'll be doing Michelle, and I've got yours out, Michelle. So we'll go. So go for it, Marlena.
All right, Suzette. So I know you're talking about your knee, and you know this desire basically to get started with, you know, authoring your own life and your resistance to authority. And I can kind of see that I pulled a few cards, right? So the first one I pulled was the 10 of Cups reversed. So it's probably that this was, you know, like you said, born out of that situation where you weren't necessarily feeling very fulfilled, because the 10 of Cups isn't really about, like, you know, financial abundance or anything. It's more of that personal, internal, emotional abundance, feeling happy with, you know, the love and the internal balance in your life. So this is probably the kind of emotional, energetic imbalance that kind of started it off. And if you're feeling right now that, you know, you've been working on this for a while, you know, wondering if it's really paying off at all, if you're going to see any of the benefits coming out of it, I would say yes. You know, it might still be bothering you. So I would say, obviously, go get your knee checked. But when it comes to maybe your life isn't shifting or changing as quickly as you expected, you have to remember that when you start working on building something, or like when you plant that seed, you don't see the fruit immediately. You might not even see the sprout immediately, but that doesn't mean that the seed isn't germinating beneath the soil, and that you might still be in that space where you are working on reformatting, restructuring those personal myths that you have in your life. This might be your mindset reshifting situation that you're in right now. So you might be working on the seeds of your mind right now, and your life is going to start blooming and changing as you start bringing that forward into your life. I hope that makes sense. And then finally, you know, the 9 of Wands reversed. If you're finding that you're being kind of defensive right now, I think my advice here would be to not feel like you need to defend this decision that you've made to author your own life, to decide to live your own personal myth. If someone's acting like, you know, your myth is wrong, you know, you shouldn't be doing this myth work, don't even try to defend it. You know, like, you know within yourself that you're doing the right thing and that this is what's best for you. And finally, I think, which echoes this sense in the Nine of Wands, is this card from my Whispers of the Ocean Oracle deck: let your personality shine. So, you know, not needing to defend your choices against anybody. You have something no one else has that makes you who you are. Stop comparing yourself to others and allow your uniqueness to shine through. So these are just echoing each other right here. You don't need to fight anybody off. Just be yourself and let that be what you're putting forward instead. It's again, like we were talking about Deborah Lynn Katz and her protective, you know, having the wolves out in front of you if we're upright, versus having, you know, just the rose out, or this is just me and I'm beautiful how I am and this is my story and it's growing as it's going to, and that's fine. I don't need to explain, you'll see. Having that kind of positive, trusting that the seed is doing what it needs to do under that soil, because you are working on creating healthier myths that aren't destructive. I hope that helped.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, and I took Michelle's question about when she's going to meet her twin flame and what signs she should look for. And I definitely am a Celtic cross gal. So that's what I threw out for you with my Rider Way. And the first thing I can tell you is that you're being supported right now by a new beginning. This is your support in the Celtic cross. For those of you who read the Celtic cross, this is what's crossing the querent. Okay. So with the Magician, that's all about a new beginning. But it's also about one thing you can see in here that really jumps out for me, for you, Michelle, is he has all of the suits on the table in front of him. This is about having all the tools. So you have all the tools at your disposal to be able to attract and bring in that life partner that you're looking for. Okay. So one thing you need to know is you have everything you need to do it. But what's interesting is it's about trusting. It's so about trusting for you, because where you're headed and what's kind of happening and what maybe is a block for you is that you are definitely having trouble being vulnerable. So there's something about you. This card is up for you and he's holding really, really close to his heart, right? And so this is about maybe you're keeping things a little too close. It looks like in the past you've had some disappointments in relationships. I don't know who hasn't, but it does look like in your past, and it doesn't feel super recent to me. It feels a little bit farther back to me, but it feels like you've had some disappointments, or where things weren't what they seemed, or perhaps you were taken advantage of, or both. And because of that, you're not as willing to be vulnerable. You're kind of keeping things kind of close to the chest and not as open as you'd like to be. Now, this could be taken literally too, depending on your situation, Michelle. Maybe you're not online dating. Maybe with, you know, the quarantine right now, it's more difficult to be open, but there's something about opening yourself up, opening your heart, but also a physical opening of yourself up to the possibilities that are out there for you. That's another thing. Now, you do have someone here. You do have a partner here. So you've got a partner here. So your ultimate outcome, the highest potential timeline for you is having a partner. It's going to happen. You're not going to be alone. That to me is kind of certain. But as far as the timing, that's always up to you, right? You create your own life. So timing in my cards in this moment, right now on current trajectory, there's a lot of energy around October of this year. So I do feel that there's a chance for you to really bring somebody in the month of October. Really feels fall to me. So later October, I would say, probably closer to Halloween, for you to bring this person in. And what's interesting is this is you in the world, and this is what you're attracting. So that is a partner. I mean, that's King and Queen of Wands. I mean, you're talking a full-on partner coming into your space. And the other thing that's interesting and unique that's coming up in your cards is a lot of financial blocks to a partnership. So I'm not sure what that's about. Now, that could be just general abundance. That could be your havingness, your ability to feel that you can have a partner. So I would say your homework or your inner work with this is to ask yourself, is there something that I still in me that feels like I don't deserve a partner? Is there something there? And what am I holding back in having a partner. Those are the two things that I would say are kind of there, but there's a partner there. Timing is October at this time. And it feels like, more will open up for you over the next month or two. But you got to open yourself up. So that would be my response to all that. Love it. Which one do you want to do next? Let's pick more questions. There's so many. You guys are awesome here.
Let's see.
Oh my God, there's so many. I got to scroll back here.
Jackie wants to know about men in her life. She particularly wants to know if she'll reconnect with someone from her past.
There you go. You're going to take that one?
Okay.
I'll do, let's see, Marissa wants to know about love and home. Marissa, you got to give us something, one or the other. Tell me love or home. Let's see.
I just have a follow-up question for Jackie. Do you want it to specifically be asking about Joey, or do you want to just know, is there someone coming? Because I'll do something different. Just if love is coming in general.
Well, and this is a good question or a good point, Marlena. Let's talk about this for a minute. How you ask your question. So important. And we talked about this. I teach a divination class once a month, and it's so important to be specific with your question, because if you say, am I ever going to meet my life partner? Well, that might be bad. But if you say, will I meet a life partner and a soulmate too, you guys, soulmates are not life partners. So don't even think that they are. That's not right. So if you say, will I ever meet my soulmate? Well, that's kind of a crapshoot of a question. Yeah. But if you say, will I meet my life partner by November of 2020? Now there's a good question. That gives you clear answers. Don't you think, Marlena? What's your thoughts on questions?
I agree that, getting either more specific, like how you were giving a more specific time limitation, or sometimes what I like reframing them so they're not necessarily yes or no questions. So like how you were saying, will I meet them by November 2020? Sometimes I like to reframe it with being more like, what can I do to draw in this life partner? Like what's going on around me that I can, shift how I'm feeling, or so that I can see when they're coming. Because sometimes asking if you're going to meet them by November is great, but you might meet them in the grocery store and not think anything of it because you didn't think to ask, how will I know that I'm meeting this person? How will I know that I'm in that period of meeting that person? So sometimes I think it's great to get specific with the timing, but I also think it's good to get specific with, the mindset, the personal growth that I need to do to be ready for that life partner, because sometimes you might meet a great person and timing is everything, but also our own emotional intelligence and mental health is important. You might meet a great person and you're not ready for it. You might, like how you were talking about the blockages and being open. It's these kinds of things. How can I be prepared to be open for this person?
Yep.
Okay.
I like Jackie's answer.
I like it. I like it too.
And Marissa wants to focus on love. So Marlena and I are going to shuffle our cards right now. Back to my golf voice. We need like a
Jeopardy music.
Yes, that would be good. That would be good. I can actually add that into this cool streaming software, so I'll work on that, guys. Because Marlena and I are definitely doing this again. Don't you think? We need to do
yes.
All right, Marissa.
Thank you so much for being here, guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Keep it coming because it's so fun. All right, I'm going to let you go, Marlena, shuffle, and I'm going to talk this time first because I got it out. So Marissa wants to know about love. Oh, Marissa, so this is where you are right now. Yikes, this is how you feel about love right now. I don't know if you're feeling that way, but that card's all about restriction. And, she's tied up, right? She's tied up and she's got like all of these swords around her. So that can be a lot of walls, but actually when I look at this and I read this, it looks like you've had a lot of emotional disturbance when it comes to love. It looks like you might have even had relationships with addicts or people who have had, emotional challenges. Something's going on here where it just looks like you've really had, and a lot of mental energy in your cards too. Like you might overthink things, or you've had to overanalyze, or things have really just taken their toll on you. So when I look at this, the first thing I feel about your space when it comes to love is, my gosh, Marissa, you've been through a lot, and it feels like your heart's heavy, and you just want to be loved, and you just want to love someone, and that's been challenging. So that's the first thing that I see for you, Marissa. So where are you headed from here? It looks like you have some healing work to do on your heart. You want to heal that space so that you can be open to somebody new. So right now, that tied up or that bound, restricted feeling that I'm seeing here, it looks like in my whole spread here, like that is coming because your heart chakra actually has bruising on it. It's been like traumatized. So healing yourself, healing your heart, loving yourself, giving yourself space to heal from whatever you've been through would be really, really positive also. Now for the next 2 months, you can expect that your love life's still going to be up and down emotionally. I don't see a lot of great stuff happening in the next 2 months. And quite frankly, in the planet in general, we've got a lot up and down the next 2 months. So it's going to be tough for anybody to start something new right now anyways. However, what I can tell you is as we get into November, as you get into November and December, you're going to start to see movement in the love space. You're going to start to feel like you're healing, you're moving into a new chapter and a new space. And so when I look at this, I'd say you're probably still out March, April before you can bring in like another like relationship. The more that you can work on yourself, and heal that the trauma from the past, the better you're going to bring in, you know, a more aligned partner. So that would be what I see here. So I hope that helps. You've been through a lot, my gosh, and it's just about healing right now. It's about self-love. All right, go for it, Marlena.
Okay, Jackie, let's talk. So like I was saying, you know, my mindset when it comes to talking about relationships or life partners when you're not in a relationship yet is also having awareness of ourselves. So being aware of the people who are outside of ourselves, but you know, sometimes how we think about ourselves is not how we connect in a relationship. And so having an awareness of how we connect with others and how, you know, whether we're mothering or if maybe we're domineering or maybe we're too passive. So the first thing I always ask is what's working for you? Like what works for you when you're, you know, going after love? And the card that I pulled was the Empress, right? And so of course the Empress is all about, you know, abundance and beauty and fertility. So, you know, you're obviously a very beautiful person with a very beautiful energy and, you know, just feeling like you're full of possibility. And that's something that's very attractive to people. Now, when it comes to something that blocks you, is the Fool reversed. So in my opinion, this could be something like, even though you come across as so beautiful and abundant and just, you know, this creative possibility, maybe you've had experience in the past with relationships, maybe the person you were asking about, where you have kind of put up these defenses, like you were talking about yesterday, Lisa, when you were talking about the description of the Fool, you know, in the Osho Zen, where it's saying, you know, you hurt me and I'll let you hurt me again and hurt me again. And maybe you've gotten to the point now where you've been hurt so many times, Jackie, that you don't want to be hurt again and you're not going to play the fool. And it's like the second someone comes into your life, you're like, what do you want? I'm watching you. I don't trust you. And it's maybe you don't give people the benefit of the doubt so much anymore as a result of past relationships. And this is advising that, you know, not to be a doormat or anything, but just give people the benefit of the doubt, have a little bit more faith in people, maybe communicate if you feel like someone is possibly taking advantage or not going the way that you expected this to go. Try to talk to them first about it before you assume that they are trying to hurt you. For something you can work on, I think this, you know, follows up well with the Fool reversed. It's the Wheel of Fortune reversed. And I think it's very interesting that you're asking about life partners and you've got 3 major arcana, you know, cards in a row. It just shows, you know, the significance of this question. But right, so for the Wheel of Fortune reversed, the Wheel of Fortune is very often about, you know, rolling with the punches, rapid changes, things shifting quickly. And if you're going to end up on top, you kind of just got to roll with it. And so for it to be reversed, it's again trying to draw that attention to you to just be aware that things can change quickly. Maybe in the past, you've had a strict idea of what relationships should look like. And this is suggesting that, you know, looking inward, you'd be more open to seeing relationships as something that evolves on the inside. Because sometimes when you meet, if it's a life partner, you know, we're assuming and hoping that you have a lovely long partnership with decades and decades and decades. You're going to change over that time period on the inside as a person. So allowing yourself to change and develop, and allowing that person to change and develop, and not assuming that just because either of you has changed, that means that something's inherently wrong. So that would be the advice there. So a good way that you'll be able to tell that this person, when they come into your life, is this life partner material. Got the 5 of Swords reversed. So when I turn this up, you can see that this person is kind of, you know, rushing into battle. He's got his sword out. He's ready to fight. And for that to be reversed, like I was saying, in the past, it seems like maybe you've had some on again, off again, people taking you for the fool kind of situation. And with this 5 of Swords reversed, you're gonna be dealing with a lot less of those ego battles, a lot less of, you know, these kinds of shallow, well, I just want to win the argument. It's not about seeing it any, you know, other perspective. It's just, this is how I've always done it. I am right. You know, just releasing that kind of energy. And this person is not going to be as concerned with these kinds of little tiffs that obviously those, even though they're small, those things add up. Because when you're in a relationship and you feel like you cannot have a conversation with someone that doesn't turn into a debate, like you have to agree exactly on everything, or else it feels like an attack to either of you, that's a huge problem. And then that always results in a breakdown of communication. So what this is saying is, with that person, you won't feel like everything is an attack, or like they take everything as an attack. It's going to be a more free-flowing form of communication for the two of you. And that's awesome. That's very healthy. And finally, for the kind of outcome, the energy of the relationship, and I love this card, it's the Page of Wands.
So pretty.
Yes, I love it. And you see, she's got her little violin. I always think of this card, especially in this deck, because she's playing a violin, kind of, you know, they've got this little listening audience of foxes. She's practicing her violin, and obviously she's the page, so this isn't the queen or anything. She's at the beginning of, you know, this journey with her instrument. But I always think of the Page of Wands as kind of, because I have a theater background, as the understudy. But this is the understudy who's in the wings and knows everybody's line and knows everybody's moves. So it's just, when it's time for you to call me in, I am ready. I'm excited. I'm not bitter and, you know, behind the curtains thinking, well, they're never going to call me on stage. Why should I even bother? No, this is someone who enjoys the process, enjoys the rehearsal, and is just ready to move forward. So if you were thinking of that in the framework of a relationship, it would be to just, again, constantly just having that learner's mindset, not feeling like it's grindy to have to work through things with this person, and being excited about doing the work with them, and being excited about growing forward, knowing that, and perhaps not rushing the relationship. If you're someone who is kind of like, when am I going to get married? When am I going to get married? You can kind of reel that back. Reel that back and just enjoy the development of the relationship itself, trusting that this is the life partnership, so you will end up together, but just trusting the process a little bit more, and knowing that you'll be ready when you get called up, and that you're obviously ready because you put in the work and you do it with love, and it's not, you know, begrudgingly done. And then finally, just for a little mindset, I love this little Whispers of the Ocean deck, so I like to just wrap up with that sometimes.
Marlena, you're making me want to
new
buy
dimensions.
like all new decks.
Do it.
I know.
I love this deck. It's great.
An addiction now. Cards are addiction. I freed myself, but now I'm like, totally, you're like enabling me big time. I'm like, how many decks are out there? I might have to go buy a new deck today, you guys. Oh my God. Okay, go on.
But yeah, a new endeavor is on the horizon. Innovative energy wants to burst forth into your consciousness. So again, this fits very well with the whole, you know, Wheel of Fortune and the Fool reversed. This is going to be a great new chapter for you, but it's going to require that you kind of break through the barrier and break through the surface of your past perception of what relationships should be like, or your personal myth with how relationships always end up for you, like your sense of worthiness and your sense of the value of relationships or monogamy, like you're going to have to go do some journaling and think about what these things mean to you, and really breaking through to the surface, getting some fresh air and getting some fresh personal myths in your life. Are they actually serving you? Do you have negative personal myths that are aligned with relationships? Do you currently have a personal myth that you think you've met your life partner already? And so anybody else that comes along, you're like, no, you're not that guy. So no, so just going back. And I really want you to, this would be a good time to sit down and journal, and just, even if it's just bullet points, what are the personal myths that I have right now about relationships? What are the personal myths I have right now about how partners perceive me? And, your personal myths that have to do with trust and whether or not people stay around, and commitment. Just really get all of that out. And I want you to actually go through and circle the ones that are not constructive, and see how you can reframe that in a way that, instead of being negative or pessimistic, helps you encourage more communication or a more hopeful outlook on your relationships. I hope that helped, Jackie.
That was awesome. I loved it. Oh my gosh, you guys, your questions. I'm going to go through, let's see what else we've got here. So I'm going to grab Danny's question. I'd love to hear something about career versus light work. I'm a double Gemini. Yikes. Lucky you.
I'm a Gemini.
Oh gosh. Well, then, my stepson's a Gemini too. And have a hard time sticking to one thing. So I'm going to pull one card for career, because, it's all about learning how to read cards too, I think. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull one card for career, one card for light work, and kind of see how they compare. So that's what I'm going to do with Danny. So I'll grab that question.
Okay. Let's see. I feel like I skipped through someone else's.
Oh boy, Danny. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. So your career, what this is showing is your career is very stable. You're moving along in the career space, but you're not very happy with it. You feel depressed. There's like a depression. It's kind of like a low energy. It's a very gray card. This is the card I'm looking at, actually. And so, the card can be depression, but when I look at it, because every time you look, you see something different, right? So what I see for you, Danny, with your career space is, when I look at this, it's very gray. It's like neutral. It's like you do the career, but you're not in love with the career. You're moving along, but you're not, it kind of is weighing you down, okay? And then when I look at light work, it's this card. And this is all about going back and forth. So here's what I would tell you. It looks to me like you're actually going back and forth on the light work, whether or not you want to commit to it. It has nothing to do with the career, actually. It has more to do, what I see here is, it feels like, Danny, there's a part of you who doesn't trust that you can do the light work, that you're not trusting in your spiritual work or your spiritual path. And so you're like, it's not even, should I do the spiritual work or the career and the mundane? It's more like, I don't even know if I can do the spiritual work to leave the mundane. So it's really getting clear on your soul purpose. It's really getting clear on what your purpose is, because you can actually live true to your spiritual path and purpose in a mundane career. But it all has to align. So like, I worked in fashion retail for 22 years. And I can tell you, in that time, part of why I was good at it, I love fashion, but part of why I was good at it is because I was a psychic and I was able to build teams based on the energy that I saw. I loved re-merchandising stores so that I knew what the energy was like and how it felt when you walked into a room. That was using my gifts and talents in that career at the time. Now, while I'm not doing that anymore and I'm fully immersed for the last 5 years, especially into my spiritual work, no matter what you're doing, your spiritual work is part of it. So what I would say is the reason that you can't make this decision, Miss Double Gemini, is not because you're a double Gemini, but because you're not sure if you really want to step into your spiritual gifts because you may not be sure what they are. So what I would say is when you are certain of your path and purpose, it won't matter to you whether you have a job or not. It won't matter because you just know what you're doing spiritually all the time. So it's about getting clear on your spiritual work and what that is and what you want to do. And my gut feeling for you at this very moment is it's time for you to take a deep breath, clear out all the clutter, get in a natural space, get outside in nature, and just ask yourself, what is it that I love to do? What is it that I love to create? And connect in with what you love to create, because I have a feeling you're actually very creative. I can see all of this creative flow in your sacral chakra, very open, lots of orange light around you. And I think go paint a painting, go draw something. A great course to do, Julie Hoyle's course, Honoring Your Soul Contract. I cannot tell enough people about it. It is awesome. Have you done it, Marlena?
I haven't. Well, you know what? I feel like, for those of you who don't know, Julie was my high school art teacher. And I can only imagine how amazing it was just because being her student, even though obviously she wasn't giving us spiritual coaching in art class, but just
she
how
was.
much of it naturally, exactly, how much of it naturally just, I don't know, it radiates off of her. So to do this whole immersive course, I'm sure is amazing because this kind of questions and inner questioning about your artwork whenever we would do it, like what does it mean to you, what guided you to do this, it was always along those lines. So I'm sure it's just an absolute
I'm sure you've immersed more than we could ever imagine, which lucky you for sure. But so Danny, I would go to juliehoyle.org and I would go to her Honoring Your Soul Contract course because you have a lot of creative energy around you. And that course is going to help you. It's super accessible. It's really easy to do. But you create a painting. And I think if you were to do that, I think you would continue to affirm your creativity, but it would also help you uncover some of what you're here to do and what your real purpose is and how it links back to what your career is. Will you have a career change? Yes, you're going to, but not quite yet because you've got to get clear on what your path and purpose is first. So I hope that helped, Danny. It looks like you said exactly. So I'm going to pick another question. What are you going to do?
I'm going to, I pulled a couple of cards for Jessica Watring. She was asking about conceiving. So I pulled just like you, because I know I took a little long on my past couple of ones. I only pulled a couple just to keep it simple, especially because of the ones that came up. So for the tarot card that I pulled for you, Jessica, it was the 8 of Swords. And so I personally love this card in this deck. I know it doesn't look like the happiest card in the world, but it's really important to notice the little details in tarot in general, but especially when you have cards that have so much going on in them. Do you see the little hummingbird? So even though you can see that this swan is kind of struggling in the brambles right now, the message of the 8 of Swords, especially in this deck, is, you might be feeling a little anxious and kind of in a rush to get into this. Obviously you're excited, but be careful about excitement and anxiety. They can kind of feel a little similar. And understanding that you don't need to do everything all at once. Sometimes it's better to just get at it piece by piece. So if it doesn't, work out this month, it wouldn't be something that you need to panic about at all. It's just understanding that, especially, with having a baby, there are lots of different facets that go within that you could even start working on before you're pregnant. If this doesn't happen, that you're still working toward getting to that outcome that you'd like. You're not completely held back until you get that. Okay, fine. And I feel like that's cemented again by this card that came out of the Whispers of the Ocean Oracle deck, keeping it in check. So pay attention to what's going on around you. You might be moving into something too quickly or missing some important details. So I feel like these are, kind of similar messages that you're rushing in or out of something. And with the missing the details, of course, the swan is thinking, I need to get out of everything at once. And when you try to free yourself from everything at once, you're just kind of going to meet resistance and it's going to seem painful and like nothing's working. And when you go at it piece by piece, things tend to unravel a bit better and more smoothly. And then I feel like that being aware of your surroundings is, again, pointing out that little hummingbird. Don't forget you have people around you that are there to help you when you are having these feelings of feeling either trapped or like you have nowhere to go. There's some little hummingbird in your life that you can turn to either for guidance, or this is someone that you can maybe who's been in a similar situation as you before that has, advice that they can give you. And just knowing that even if it feels like you're the only one who's struggling with this, that you aren't. And there are so many people who can, remind you that you're not alone and help you through this situation. And I think that's what's really important about the Eight of Swords, is that it's very often just the mental feelings of not being able to do something. You're kind of imagining a situation to be this big bad, or big, maybe not big bad, but big and imposing, intimidating, right? It seems like a really big thing, especially having a baby becoming a parent is a big decision to make. But with the Eight of Swords, it always helps if you kind of break it down, thinking of it like a puzzle. You don't need to dump the puzzle out of the box and then just like try to throw it on the floor and them all land in the same place the first time you've dumped it on the table. That's not what you need to expect, and nobody's expecting that of you. You can try to do it piece by piece, and it's the same thing if it's something that has been making you nervous about it. Just taking it one step at a time. It doesn't need to happen on the first try or immediately for it to be magical and what's meant to happen. So definitely take some time to just do a mental check of everything that's going on around you. And if you're finding that you're a little bit stressed and that's what's causing, it could be causing a problem here, looking at ways that you can maybe minimize some of the stress that's going on in your life right now to help, because stress has physical effects on your body, giving your body some more of that like loving energy to create space for when you're successful.
I love you, Marlena. You know what I'm blown away by right now?
What?
Is how similar our reading styles are. I don't think I've ever met anyone who had a similar reading style as me with cards. And you and I are like very much in sync that way. It's like awesome.
This is so much fun. I've never done live readings like this before.
Me neither. It was awesome. I love how
You said it
but like, definitely not live on the internet. I like it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's great. I hope that helped.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Julie Ray, I pulled some cards for you. You said you were working on an energy modality class with a friend for massage therapists before the lockdown, and now there's a big block. Do you pick it back up or let it go? And your answer is yes and no. So when I threw out the cards, what I'm seeing is whatever you were working on before the lockdown is complete. It's a done deal. It is not to be picked back up. It is definitely something to let go. However, creating an energy modality class and creating some kind of course or class or module or whatever you want to do is still very much there, but it just looks completely different and may even be with a completely different person, to be honest with you. It looks like there's a new partnership coming in the next 2 months, and that you're going to start really working on something new. Now, this is coming up the season of winter. In my cards, the season of winter is the actual season. So in the Northern Hemisphere, that's December 20th through March 20th this year. So that is what I'm seeing. So it may not be until the end of this year that you actually pick this back up, and it may be with a completely different person. It feels and looks to me like you're having some massive awakenings. Your consciousness is changing. And because of that evolution, you may not be aligning with the person that you were doing this before, or the particular module or class you were doing before. So it's almost like time to kind of put that completely aside. So yes, I would let it go, but I would not let the idea go. Instead, I would look at rebirthing it into something new that you want to do going forward. That's what I'm seeing here. It looks like you have a really cool course or modality that you can create and complete and do, but maybe with a new person and in a whole new way. So just letting you know that for sure. So that's what I saw there. So I hope that helped you. And we've got a few minutes. I think we'll do what do you think? We'll do a couple, like I'll do one more, or you will do a couple more, and then we'll probably wrap today. But I don't know about you, Marlena, but I think we should definitely do this more often. So
yes, this was so much fun.
It was so fun. So Marlena and I will figure out how to keep this kind of thing going every single month. And don't worry, we'll let you know when that is, because I think this is really, really fun, and you guys have great questions. So anyway, I'll pick another question. Marlena, what'd you do here?
I pulled some cards for Rebecca Sapita. I hope I said her name right. She was asking about what messages her spirit guides have for her. She's looking for some guidance on her spiritual journey. So I pulled a few cards for you. Right, the first card that I pulled was more along the lines of what is the lesson that they're working on with you right now. Now, this could be a personal myth that you're trying to work through, or something that's happening in your external life, but it was the Queen of Wands reversed. Now, I love the Queen of Wands. This is a card when it's upright, just so you can get an idea of what's going on.
God, those cards are pretty. What's that deck called again?
Shadowscapes. The Shadowscapes.
Oh God, it's so pretty, you guys.
Yeah, she's playing this, giant harp that's part of this tree, and you can see she's very happy. So the Queen of Wands is traditionally, a woman with a lot of, fire and pizzazz, and she means business, but she also means balance. So she gets things done at work, and she gets things done at home, and she's just a very warm soul, right? So if the Queen of Wands reversed is what your spirit guides are trying to work through with you right now, be this in your external life or an internal personal myth that you have going on, it could be that, and I don't think that reversals are always, the opposite of something. So I'm not implying that, you're cold and you have imbalance in your work and blah, 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 blah. But the journey is possibly the internal relationship you have with the idea that you can balance being a career person, a career woman, and having that warmth and having a healthy social life and a family life. And what is your personal myth when it comes to, is it possible? Can you have it all? Because the Queen of Wands is very much that she's got it going on at home. She's got it going on at work. Do you believe that's possible? Is that what's, if that's not something that's happening in your external life, that might be the lesson that you're trying to work through mentally right now that could be blocking you from opportunity, because you might be thinking, well, I have to pick one or the other. I have to either be boss lady or I have to be someone's wife or mom. Like I can't be both. And if that's your personal myth, your spirit guides are trying to tell you, broaden that story a little bit. Don't put yourself into a shell or like try to predetermine your story's ending because you don't believe that's possible for you. So that's what they're working on with you right now. The next card I pulled was the King of Pentacles. So my advice would be, if you're needing advice on your spiritual journey, I know that, we associate being spiritual with a lot of like our upper chakras, and, you might be wanting to do a lot of third eye work and crown chakra work. With the King of Pentacles, I think what your spirit guides want you to do right now is ground. They want you to ground. They want you to be present. They want you to get rooted in where you are right now. Especially if you're in a situation where you're feeling like you can't have it all, if that's what your personal myth is right now. We might have a tendency to, and I'm like this too sometimes, to just completely daydream about the life that we want instead, or be thinking 6 months in the future, or where do I want to be in 2 years because I don't want to be here right now. Like that kind of inner self-talk. Your spirit guides are like, you need to root yourself in the present and really grow yourself in that strength, because, maybe he didn't want to be on the ground, but now he's grown tall and strong, and he's got a guardian at his feet. The spirit guide's advice is be present, because with the presence, that's the only way that you will have the awareness to be able to hear when they're talking to you. That's a big thing. Like if you're someone who is constantly thinking 6 steps ahead, or you're trying to plan everything else out, or you're all the way up here, you might not be seeing the messages that they are just throwing at you in the present, because you're not in the present where the messages are. So that would be the big message right there, is just ground yourself. It's like when you lucid dream, and I know Julie talks about this all the time. The feeling we have when we realize that we're dreaming and we take this dream to this lucid state is an awareness of presence. It's that you realize where you are, and you can bring that into your present, your living life. And that's kind of what you have to do to be able to pick up on these messages, is be present so that you can realize the opportunity that's at your feet. And finally, the Seven of Cups. So just to give you a little bit about this image, you see that these two are traveling. They have a little, map in their hands. She's pointing at this citadel in the sky, saying she wants to go there. Doesn't really seem like they have a way to get there, unless they decided to go to that castle in the distance. I don't know if you can see it over here. Mm-hmm. If they went there first, maybe there's some way that they can get from there to that citadel in the sky. So the Seven of Cups is very often talking about narrowing down your options a little bit more, which fits again with rooting yourself in the present. You might know what you want to do down the line, but the Seven of Cups kind of calls you into, okay, but what is available to you now? Let's choose what our next step is instead of choosing what next year's step is. Let's pick the next step. And that's not saying that you can't have what you want next year, but you want to focus on the thing that's closer to you, while having the belief that that choice will get you to your larger choice. So those are the messages from your spirit guides right now. And that's, again, doing some journaling about your beliefs, about whether or not you can have it all, your beliefs on career versus family. Root yourself in the present. Start noticing things that pop up around you often, and maybe look up what those things mean. Or I think people very often associate like psychic events with being visual. There's also clairaudience. Like what are similar phrases that keep popping up, in your head? Or if you meditate, is there a word that pops up? And looking into things like that, and then just narrowing down a little bit more on what you have that is within your reach, because that will help you get to where you want to go. I hope that helped.
So good. So good. I think we each do one more, and then we'll wrap things up. And you guys have been just awesome. I love all these questions, and I promise you we'll do this again. And we'll kind of make this, I think we make it a monthly consistent thing if Marlena's down, because I think that'd be super fun. This is super fun. So I looked at Cheryl's question about her migraines. She said she'd been getting migraines. She's wondering if this is physical or spiritual. It is definitely spiritual, because I actually pulled a David Bowie card. It is the Five of Pentacles. Let's see if I can figure out how to hold this. And when you look at the Five of Pentacles, so up here is the Garden of Eden. Down here are these two beggars in the street with the trash cans, and they're like disappearing into the graffiti. You guys can see that there. And the message of this card, and we'll talk about your migraines too, but the message is about looking at your own relationship with poverty and lack. So Cheryl, if you've been feeling like you are concerned about, having enough, or feeling scarcity, or any of those things, this is about asking to look at your relationship with poverty. And it's interesting because you're having these migraines, which is headaches, which is all that third eye, crown chakra energy, something trying to come through you, something that's trying to get your attention. And I want you to think, Cheryl, about looking at the disowned treasures in yourself. What are the inherent gifts, the treasures, those talents inside of you that maybe you've been denying, disowning, thinking that you have lack when you do not? Because this is all about really stepping into the wealth that is inside of you, that you have this like mine of precious gems inside of yourself, and it's about bringing them out. And so my sense when I look at this, and I went ahead and pulled a tarot card as well, which is this guy. And I love this guy because he looks really gloomy, but he is focusing on the 3 cups that have spilled and not the 2 full cups behind him, right? He has 2 full cups behind him. And so both of these cards speak to the same thing, which is your inner work to do around your migraines, which is these migraines are coming up because there is a fear or of scarcity or lack, and there's something about your relationship with poverty or with the lack of your own gifts or your own being. And now it's time to stand in your gifts. It's time to mine the jewels within you and bring them to the surface. And I think once you take a look at that, so asking yourself, what is my relationship with poverty? What are the treasures that I am denying within myself? I would look at as well. And also, there's a thing about dependence, that you're no longer dependent on someone else. And so identifying how you're now independent within yourself. These are the things to work on internally that I think will free you from these migraines, honestly. It looks like, and it feels really good. It feels like you're super close, and these migraines are just saying, hey, it's time to connect with my inherent gifts and talents. So let's go do it. So that is the work I would do when these migraines come up, really, honestly. So I hope that helped you, Cheryl. Very interesting and a cool card to pull, and a really clear message, really, from both decks about what this is about. So it's really about your abundance versus your lack, your havingness, and taking a look at that. So there was that. What do you got, Marlena?
I decided to do two really small ones because I saw Karen asked for general guidance, and then Nina asked a specific question. So I pulled really small ones for them. I'll make it short and sweet. For Karen, I got the Queen of Cups reversed, followed by the Three of Cups, and the Eight of Swords again. So if this is just general guidance for you, Karen, it seems like, so you have some kind of blockage going on with the Queen of Cups. Now, this is either somebody else in your life who you maybe feel is blocking you from, some kind of celebration or having a better relationship with the people in your lives. Or it could be that you're experiencing a blockage with the Queen of Cups aspect of yourself. So are you kind of possibly either blocking emotions or being extremely emotional to the point where it's coming across a little passive aggressive, maybe? Just getting into the non-constructive side just a little too deep with the Queen of Cups. So it's either, it could be someone else blocking you, but it also could be your relationship with emotion within yourself. If you're looking at these things from, like, if you're someone who takes everything personally, maybe it's blocking you from happier relationships and you're feeling kind of trapped in the situation. And so, like I was saying with the Eight of Swords before, you're not trapped. You don't have to free everything at once. It could be a baby step kind of thing. So if you do feel like you resonate with this Queen of Cups reversed, it would be, journaling piece by piece. Like I said, this was the puzzle comparison I was making. Asking yourself how you can have healthier relationships, or if the Queen of Cups is another person, how you can have more healthy interactions with that person, even if it's deciding that you're not going to interact with that person anymore, just finding a healthier way to do it. So that was for Karen. I hope that was helpful. And then for Nina, will my husband and I be moving our family to a different state or country anytime soon? I would say yes. The first card I pulled, boom.
Oh, wow.
It's the World.
God, I love that deck. They're so pretty.
So, I know, they're just absolutely gorgeous. And the creator was a wonderful person too. I would say, I think so, Nina, that this seems pretty promising, that if you're not actively moving anytime soon, you're definitely going to be starting to plan it. You're thinking about moving forward, because the world is all about completion of the level that you're on and moving forward into the next one. So if you're not moving into a different state, you might be moving into a different house. And I think what's even better than the fact that this looks like a probably yes, there's going to be a change soon, is that it's followed by the 10 of Cups, which means, if you do move, you're going to be really happy about it. And so if it's something that you're nervous about, I don't think you need to be, because like I said, the 10 of Cups, the cups are all about emotion. So it might not be that you're going to have, a really opulent life in this next place that you're moving to, but the 10 of Cups is all about that kind of emotional fulfillment, that being grateful for what you have. Just really deep gratitude, being happy with your family and the people around you. And the everyday magic is what I think of when I see that rainbow that they're sitting on. You know, how we can just look up into the sky and, oh my gosh, rainbows are a thing. That, you know, that's beautiful. Life is amazing. The 10 of Cups is that kind of just immense gratefulness for everyday magic. And so I do think you guys are going to be on your way to somewhere interesting soon, and it's going to be fulfilling. Yeah.
I love it. I love that those decks you have. My God, those pictures. Oh, I'm going to have to buy another deck of cards. Yikes. You know, I had a really cool deck too that I've been thinking about. You know, they kind of just visit me. It's like, oh, remember that deck? But it's called the Tao Oracle, and it uses the I Ching and the Tao you can actually I Ching so you do a spread and you can I Ching with I Ching coins, the spread to get different meanings. It's
interesting. I love blending, you know, these ideas.
Yeah, it's so cool. So thank you guys for being such an incredible audience.
Thank you.
Oh my God, we are definitely doing this again. Marlena, thank you for coming on the show again. I just love you. I love your energy, and I could just talk to you. I could do this for like 6 hours. We'll have no voice, but I could do it. So thank you so much for coming on. And you guys, all of Marlena's information is here in the show notes. And just some announcements. So we have our November Awakening event coming up in November, and we have now posted it on the One Heart, One Earth website, which is oneheartoneearth.net. And you can go on there. It's right on the homepage. You can register. It's free to register. We have over 40 facilitators and presenters that are participating in the November Awakening and counting. So that is one of my announcements. I am going to be off the grid, happy day, starting tomorrow morning through Wednesday. So if any of you are trying to reach me or anything, just know there will be a delay. But you can certainly, all of my appointment booking is all online and automated, so you can still throw yourself on the calendar. Marlena, what's your story as far as people? I've got your connection information up here and in the show notes, but do you want to say anything? Do you have anything upcoming or anything going on with your sessions right now?
Yeah. So my website and my Instagram and everything and Facebook is, you know, scrolling by on the bar down beneath us. My email address, if you have any more specific questions or you want to ask me anything and you don't want to reach me on either of those other places, is readings@islandwisetarot.com. And then I'm going to be releasing my first freebie next week for personal myth work, because I understand that, you know, it's kind of a new concept for a lot of people. If you missed yesterday's chat, definitely go back and watch that. We were having so much fun. And I've also done a video on my channel, which I think is also linked in the description box below, that is Myth Work Explained. So I talk about the origins of myth work, you know, its roots in psychology, even though I'm not a psychologist, I'm a writer. I'm not trying to say I'm a psychologist, but so I go into, you know, detail with that there and some ideas to help you get started on your personal myth work journey. But next week, I'm going to be releasing my first freebie. It's going to be Folklore Fridays, because I'm also, you know, because I'm a writer and I love myth work, I love folklore. And I'm going to be talking about an important mythological creature in the Bahamas, which is where I'm from, in our national mythology. And how you can incorporate this special magical creature archetype as almost being a gatekeeper into your myth work journey, and getting you started on really identifying those personal myths that you have, and even the ones, which I think is very important, the ones that we don't even realize that we're following and, you know, going along. So having these prompts written for you so that you can help get started, I'm really excited about that. So that's going to come out sometime next week. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm also going to be giving away 3 free calls where we can talk about myth work one-on-one and just help you get started on your journey with us together. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, and I'll do it on Facebook too, and we'll randomly select somebody and we can help you get started on turning your life into the hero's journey and just creating the beautiful, beautiful everyday magic life that you want to have. And I want all of you to have. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so sorry if we didn't get to anybody's question, but we're going to do this again.
Yeah, we are definitely doing this again. And I'm excited, Marlena. I'm going to have to watch. I'm interested about your Folklore Fridays. That sounds pretty cool. So I'm definitely into that. I don't know about anybody else, but forget the television. My husband and I literally just watch YouTube now, and it's awesome. So I know. So, and let's see, what else do we have going on? I think that's it. You guys are awesome. And I hope you love our new format, because I do. I'm really obsessed with our fabulous new digital format here for streaming. And if you guys are interested in being on the show, if you have something you want to share, you can email us for sure. It's just mail@lisamgunshore.com. If you want to submit your art, your videos, your articles that you've written to One Heart, One Earth, I want them. So also mail@lisamgunshore.com. We also have a submissions form on oneheartoneearth.net. I love each and every one of you. Have an incredible Friday. Let's hold space for this beautiful planet of ours over the next week as, you know, energies continue to rise. Schumann was spiking like crazy yesterday, which is probably also why we had a bunch of technology things. And again, I'm going off the grid, guys. So going up to Yellowstone National Park, going to go work on the ley lines. Pretty stoked, leaving tomorrow morning. Really excited about that, actually. And so the point is, if I didn't get to you yesterday, it's because I was stuck in my car with no power and no batteries. And otherwise, I'll try to get back to everybody. I've gotten so many messages and texts and emails and things. I'll try to get back to everybody before I leave. I love you, Marlena. You're awesome. And I love all of you guys. Yes, everybody love.
And I love this group of people. It was so much fun. This is such a lively chat. Everybody, this is
fabulous.
So fun.
Fabulous. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you guys. Have a great, great day.
Bye.